Thank you very much. Senator Schmitt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General Donovan, General Rudd, congratulations on your nominations and for your service to our great country. For most of our nation's history, America's strategy recognized a simple truth. The security of the United States begins in the Western Hemisphere. When we neglect our own neighborhood, we have much, as we have for much of the last 3 decades, threats do not remain abstract or distant. They arrive at our border, in our communities, and in the lives of the people that we represent. We're now living with those consequences. Transnational criminal organizations move people, narcotics, weapons, and money across the hemisphere with increasing sophistication and close collaboration with state actors. Fentanyl and cocaine kill tens of thousands of Americans each year. Violent networks like Tren de Agua now operate openly inside U.S. cities. This is not a theoretical problem. It is a direct assault on the safety and sovereignty of the American people. At the same time, hostile state actors are expanding their footprint in our hemisphere, partnering with criminal regimes, exploiting corruption, and operating with a sense of impunity that would have been unthinkable a generation ago. This is a strategic failure that we can no longer afford to abide by. The United States cannot accept insecurity at home because we were unwilling to assert leadership abroad, especially in our own hemisphere. President Trump has made clear that protecting the American people comes first, and that securing the homeland requires securing our own hemisphere. And I would point out that this is actually a throwback to something that has served the United States very well, that I think many people have forgotten, and they seem shocked that we're talking about it all again, whether it's the Monroe Doctrine or just understanding that we have important interests in our own hemisphere. So, General Donovan, we talked about this in my office. You're going to have a very, very important job. And I think the national, the security strategy that's been laid out is spot on. We need our European allies to step up in a much more meaningful way for the defense of their own continent. We have very important interests here at home and in our hemisphere and in the Indo-Pacific. And so I want to ask you, as the next commander of Southcom, you'll sit at the very center of that mission. And I want to explore how you assess the threats that we pose. The first one, and this limited time that we have, on narco-terrorism. How do you, I guess let me ask you this. Where in Latin America do transnational criminal organizations pose the greatest strategic threat to the U.S. right now? What would be your assessment of that?
Senator, again, thanks for the time in your office. If confirmed, once confirmed, if confirmed, end up in the Southcom headquarters, really have to do a deep dive to fully give a better answer than I can right now. My thought is there's a number of different pathways and that these nefarious actors, these criminal organizations can reach the shores of the United States of America. And what I pledge, Senator, is to obviously look deeply in this, but also work collaboratively with both the other geographic commands in question here or tied to as NORTHCOM and INDOPACOM to ensure that we're actually providing the chairman and the secretary those not only best military advice of one COCOM, but how do we address those synchronized threats in a more holistic way, Senator.
You mentioned NORTHCOM. I wanted to ask you about that because, of course, Mexico currently is outside of the statutory AOR. But there is this, obviously, this interconnectedness of what's happening in South America into Mexico, into the United States. And in recognition of this interconnectedness, the Department of War has proposed changes to the Unified Command Plan that would consolidate North Command and South Command under a single Americas-focused command. Given that strategic shift, and I know that's early, and I'm not trying to box you in anything, and you should take the time to do your own assessment, but currently, how do you assess the alignment of missions between NORTHCOM and SOUTHCOM currently?
Senator, knowing that U.S. NORTHCOM is doing incredible work on the border and also dual hats as NORAD, a lot on their plate at this point. My focus has been, and I've supported them over the years through both SOF and in the Marine Corps mission sets. My focus, obviously, if confirmed, is SOUTHCOM, and how is SOUTHCOM a better partner to NORTHCOM in whatever decisions are made. I hope to be part of that decision-making process, or at least give advice in that, or counsel or guidance once I understand the capabilities of SOUTHCOM. But until that point, my responsibility is to link very tightly with NORTHCOM so we have that unity of effort.
And I think 30 seconds, so I know that you're going to, we'll have many conversations about this moving forward, but I'm very concerned about the CCP's footprint in our hemisphere. Certainly that was the case in Venezuela. You wouldn't have to go too far. A year ago, we were talking about the concern of the CCP effectively controlling both ends of the Panama Canal with those ports. and that leads right into this Greenland discussion. I'm not going to get into that now, but I would say that I'm fully supportive of you, but let's continue the conversation about where China's at. This is a real threat. We simply cannot have our greatest competition adversary setting up shop in our own hemisphere. It's unacceptable. So thank you. Thanks for your service.